I just realized I did that entire thing with my mute button on. Guys, welcome to the Mayday Network. I will be editing that part out. Welcome to the Mayday Network. I am Michelle Kinney. Yes, I'm seeing the chat now. You're muted. I'm an idiot. Um, This is the dispatch on the Mayday Network. We hope you will like this video down below and subscribe to our channel, both here on YouTube and on Substack. I believe I'm just on YouTube today. And I am flying solo. Julie is out and about. She's got things to do with her family today. But this story is just too stupid to ignore. Where to begin? Uh, Listen, there are so many horrible things that this president and this administration is doing on a daily basis. It's hard to keep track of them because some of them seem sort of superficial and awful, just sort of stripping the meaning of things that may be important to us as Americans, or importing 30,000 tons of beef that's going to kill us all, or bringing back measles, or any other old timey disease, or starting World War III. You know, there's a plethora. Rounding up wild horses in the West to slaughter them. Like literally, like the words that are coming out of my mouth. I sometimes can't even believe it. I think if you went back to your old self of 10 to 12 years ago and told them the things that we are talking about today, you wouldn't believe them. Um, and I think it's also easy to sort of brush off some of these things as well as distractions. Like, oh, it's just a distraction. Like, yes, it is. It's the rumblings of an 80-year-old dying man who's losing his mind and his health. Um, but I think there's a cumulative effect um, of all of this stuff. Not only is it meant to strip away the morale, right? To chip away at the morale of Americans and our ability to give a shit about anything anymore because we're just exhausted, right? Flood the zone with terrible shit all day, every day, so that there becomes a time that there we can't pay attention to any of it because it's too much. Um, but also our standing around the world, right? We're seeing this not only with our neighbors to the north in Canada, which Trump has started another trade war with, but Europe and China. And we're the laughing stock because we have a president who is more interested in renaming lakes and gulfs and oceans and performing arts centers, uh, ballrooms, you name it, naming them after himself, building columns at the White House, putting his name on shit. This is like a very narcissistic man who is mentally ill, and has been slapping his name on shit his entire life. So this would be no different. I mean, who's to say in a couple weeks it won't be like Trump? But if you miss this today, I'm here to inform you that the President of the United States signed an executive order today in front of a gaggle of reporters in the Oval Office, renaming Lake Ontario to Lake America. Guys, I want to laugh because if I don't, I'll cry. I'm like actually infuriated about this. Maybe it's because it feels personal. I grew up on Lake Ontario. I spent my childhood on Lake Ontario, like millions of other Americans and Canadians. Um, and you can't have anything named after another country or another province or whatever else. He's got to make a point and make something as dumbed down and stupid as possible. Johnny in the chat just said he is so profoundly stupid, and everyone in his administration knows he's profoundly stupid. Yes. They've been on the record. They've gone on the record. Members of his past administration, his cabinet, said he's like one of the dumbest mofos they've ever met in their life. Um, it's wild, and yet his Republican comrades line up next to him and behind him every single day, patting him on the head, saying, "Yes, sir, you're a genius, sir. This is amazing, sir." Right away, Doug Burgum, who's the Secretary of the Interior, is like, I think he tweeted out or something shortly after he signed it saying, "Yes, sir. Yes, I'll be right on that." Y'all are pathetic. Pathetic. Pathetic assholes. There will be I can't even talk today. I haven't had enough coffee today. Sometimes it's too much coffee. Today was not enough. There will come a time. There will be a day when these people's their families, whether it be the next generation or their grandchildren, whomever, will deny the fact that they are related to these people. There will come a time. It will be a stain on the legacy of these people's families. But in the meantime, it is a stain on this country. We are less safe, we are less healthy, we are we have a lesser standing in the world. Um, I mean, I could go on all day, you guys know this if you're watching this, it's just where to begin. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you guys the video of him signing this dumbass executive order. I just love I'm gonna go down to Florida and I'm gonna rename Lake Okeechobee, Lake Michelle. Like it's just it's so meaningless and stupid yet full of meaning. You know what I mean? It gets us talking about it, right? Here I am talking about this. But again, like we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it because the cumulative effect of this nonsense has put us all in danger. So here we go. Here's the video.
And finally, I guess the purpose of this more than anything else is we're going to be changing the name of Lake Ontario, effective immediately, to Lake America. That's going to take place right now as I sign the order. Do you have anything to say about it, Ben?
Yes, sir. So this is a straightforward but important executive order. It directs Secretary Burgum and the Department of the Interior to update the Geographic Names Information Service to reflect that the lake once known as Lake Ontario will, from this day forward, be known as Lake America. This is a lake that has most of its volume in the United States. The deepest parts of the lake sit in United States territory, so this will reflect that this is an American lake.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. And we filed all the necessary papers, documents, everything else. We notified all of the various people that we have to notify. So we've done everything that you have to do. And this is official, effective immediately. Do you have any questions, anybody? Mr. President.
I always love the theater of his executive order signing. There's always a little man off to the side. Sometimes it's different little man, and he's having story time with Trump in which he reads the executive order to Trump because he's probably never read it. He doesn't even know what it's about. Although this, I mean, who's to say? I mean, I'm sure it'll be reported here in the days and weeks to come where this came from. I mean, yes, it's stemming from this trade war and his dream to annex Canada, which by the way, no one should take as a joke. He is 100% serious about that. Um I'm sure somebody called him and was like, "Oh, it'd be like so funny if you named it the Lake America." And he just does these things. People put these stupid ass ideas in his mind, and he's not a smart man, and he's impulsive, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to do that." Um, this is no different. And then of course he has to like, he signs it. I saw Amy Amy in the chat was like the sound of the of the marker. It's always like the Sharpie, right? Signing his name that looks like an EKG of a chihuahua. And then he puts it down and he holds it up and he's like, reading to the class. He's going to show everyone. And he's like, we filed all the paperwork. Did they? We're not sure. We don't know. This man knows nothing of governance or leadership or he goes on to make a joke about the oceans. Here's this clip.
We took something called the Gulf of Mexico. We changed it, and now it's very routinely the Gulf of America. So if you think about it, we have a Gulf and we have a lake. Now all we need is an ocean. So maybe we'll have to change the name of the Atlantic and or the Pacific. Maybe we'll change them both.
Maybe we'll change them both. Um, Here's the thing, folks. Oh, there's like a little piece of dust flying on my camera. Here's the thing. He's not joking. He's always signaling to us what he is doing, what he plans to do. They always tell us. They're telling us what they're going to do. That will be next. He will try and rename one or two oceans. And don't be surprised if he doesn't name one of them after himself. Um, Johnny just said in the chat, and I happen to agree with this as well. What he's doing is getting people used to the idea of American expansion. There are enough dumb people in this country who'll be lulled into it. Yeah. I mean, right. You just have to massage the electorate, right? Until they don't even notice anymore. And I think we're there already. I mean, they were talking about, spheres of influence and, how they want to take over, South America. I mean, like this isn't new. And I think it's a realistic expectation that we're likely to invade Cuba next. And I think that there's probably a couple reasons for that. One being just, again, expansion, real estate being another one. Marco Rubio wanting to be the guy that gets it done, being a Cuban American himself. But the jokes that he makes about Canada and these signals that he makes about Canada should not be taken lightly. He's not a funny guy. He's very serious in the things that he says. And I think that if it were up to him, we would have invaded Canada already, which is insane. Our friendly, wonderful neighbors to the north. I will say this for the thousandth time. Julie and I say, we are so sorry. We are so sorry to our friends in Canada. And I'm wearing my Canada shirt today. Um, it is we're embarrassed of this man. We're embarrassed of our country, of what we're doing. Um, and the way I look at it is Canada really, at least again, in my point of view, are the leaders of the Western world. They're the leaders. Canada is the leader of Western democracy at this point. Um, it's you have every right and reason to be furious with the United States. And, while we hope, yes, it's, oh, well, it's the government, it's not the people. Well, tens of millions of people put this asshole in power after knowing all the things that we knew about him. Did it again. So it's hard to separate the two, right? I mean, obviously there's tens of millions of us that did not. Oh, hi. Hello. um, that is my father-in-law. You know, it's it's infuriating, it's embarrassing, and you have every right to be angry with us. I'm going to play another video here. They put this out after the fact. Donald Trump speaking directly to the camera, telling us again about um, this plan.
So this is Lake Ontario in Canada and in the United States. But we're going to make a little change. We're going to call it something different than Lake Ontario. We're going to call it Lake America. And all it takes is a good pen and some intelligence. So Lake Ontario, that's gone. Lake America. So now we have a lake, and now we have a gulf, because we have the Gulf of America, now we have Lake America, without the of. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy Lake America.
This is an addled 80-year-old man rambling into the abyss who is suffering from multiple medical illnesses in addition to severe dementia. What else to say? I mean, again, if you don't laugh, you'll cry, but this is a man who is deeply, deeply unwell. And I got to hand it to, the politicians in Canada. And not all of them are liberals, right? These aren't all like, what we would consider liberal Democrats here in the United States. These are conservatives in Canada speaking out against Trump because they understand what these tariffs are going to do in this made up trade war that doesn't need to happen, what it's going to do to Canadian workers, what it's going to do to their industry, what's going to do to their economy. Donald Trump just obviously not giving a shit what it's going to do for American workers, specifically like American auto workers. Whether he doesn't understand it or he just doesn't care, I mean, like, does he have any idea that the auto industry, the parts that are required to make cars like pass over the American Canadian border several times before you have a product. This is just how things work. I don't think he gives a shit. It's all for show. It's all for his ego. Um, Here's a couple clips I just wanna play. This is Doug Ford, right? He's the premier of, Ontario. This guy's a conservative. He's not liberal. But this is the way I wish Democrats, even like normie Democrats, would speak about Donald Trump, speak about Republicans here in the United States. Why is it that these guys are braver in speaking truth to power, like actually saying it how it is, than we are? This is Doug Ford.
I can go back and forth with Trump. I'm just not gonna take the bait. This guy's a loser. He's gonna be a loser, and simple as that. We're gonna fight with everything we have. And you know something? I have more courage, more brains in my baby toe than he has in his whole body. So there you go. And I have a lot of real estate on my ass, so he has a lot of room to kiss my ass. So I've dealt with guys like you my whole life. And guess what? You all become losers because you're a loser.
Speak a language that this man understands. All Donald Trump does is call everybody a loser. You're a loser. You're a loser. But the thing is, Donald Trump is a weak ass mofo. He is weak. He is a thin skinned, weak man. And people like Doug Ford are calling it out, thankfully. And I love watching the guys behind him, by the way. It's great because you wouldn't really necessarily even see that here in the US, right? Because, you know, I don't know. I just feel like if this was a scene happening in the United States, you wouldn't see a bunch of workers standing behind a politician laughing at Donald Trump. But here it is here. I mean, I just want to play the beginning here again, like watching them laugh.
I'm just not gonna take the bait. This guy's a loser. He's going to be a loser, and simple as that. We're going to fight with everything we have. And you know something? I have more courage, more brains in my baby toe than he has in his whole body. So there.
And it's also happens to be true. Um, Here is another clip by him again, speaking truth to power. I love it. I appreciate it.
Mayor Sean Jefford, CBC News. I know you haven't had an opportunity to see this, but we were just looking at a very fresh post here from President Trump on Truth Social, taking aim at you personally, taking shots at you, suggesting you should fall in line, and that you're a flunky of the Prime Minister. Do you want to respond to these shots? What would you say to the president?
No, I don't respond to a dictator like President Trump, a bully like President Trump. As I said before, he's the type of guy in school that would take your lunch money one day, take your toque off your head the next day, and then steal your running shoes. But I'm not going to take any advice off a guy that's the king of bankruptcies. And he's actually tariffing his own people, taxing his own people. And I'm going to make sure I communicate through the U.S. media. I'm going to be reaching out to every single governor, every single senator, and every single congressperson. And when it comes to the midterms, I have a message to the Americans. Don't vote in a person that's going to kill your jobs. He ran on creating more jobs. Last time I checked, jobs went down in the U.S. and Ontario created more jobs. He ran on reducing the cost of living. Last time I checked, food's more expensive down there. Homes are more expensive. And the reason homes are more expensive because he has a tariff on our lumber, which 33% of all homes that are built in the U.S. use Canadian lumber. So I'm not going to take lessons off President Trump. He's the last guy that I would take any lessons off. And it's about Team Canada. We'll see how this goes. But if he wants to put pain on Canadians, we'll leverage every bit of pain we possibly can on Americans. And you know what I feel bad for? I've always said I love the American people. I still stand by that statement because there's a lot of people in the U.S. that are calling me saying, way to go, keep going. You know, your own people, President Trump, don't even like you. And they're going to speak loud and clear when it comes to the midterms. And if I was allowed to, I'd be down there door knocking.
God bless, honestly. And here's just the last one where he's, explaining sort of the red and blue, left and right.
Red is liberal, blue is conservative. It's opposite down there, just to explain to the people. The red states are Republican, blue are Democrat, but the red states, we're going to hit hard.
Hi, Premier. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Hi, Siobhan.
I just wanted to sort of figure out your thinking about how you thread this needle with the president taking very specific aim at you in deeply personal ways.
Good.
Well, also, why is that good?
Well, good. He can, you know, something. I've been in this game a lot longer than he has. I got skin on me like an alligator, and you think an insult from him hurts me? Well, bring it on, buddy. I'm ready. Bring it on. You know something? I've dealt with guys like you my whole life, and guess what? You all become losers because you're a loser.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, hello, Jaclyn Urso. I see you in the chat. Do you want to come on? Do you want to come on and hang? If you do, I'm going to text you right now. The link to come jump on. If you want to, if you can't, like, obviously don't worry about it, but just bear with me, guys, while I text her. There we go. If you want to come on, great. If not, carry on. Jaclyn is starting school this week at Georgetown, and we love her. So yeah, I mean, it's so embarrassing. But again, like Doug Ford, why can't even our opposition in the United States speak like that about Donald Trump? Plainly, authentically, and truthfully. He is a bully. He is an authoritarian and a dictator. He is a loser. He is weak. He's all of those things. And I, people get mad at me for giving shit to the Democrats and stuff, but like, come on, guys. We got Hakeem Jeffries out here meeting with Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of the president, the morally bankrupt, grifting, mediocre at best son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who doesn't even go here, by the way. He didn't even have a job in this administration, but he seems to be, the one that he wants to go to. I'm sorry, sir, Hakeem Jeffries. Do you think that you're going to be Speaker of the House? That's pretty presumptuous of you. And he still may squeak it out if we do take back the House, but like it's going to be a Kevin McCarthy journey for him. And I speak as, part of the coalition of normies, in my opinion, who, I'm not part of the DSA far left. I am a very liberal woman, Democrat, who also happens to be fed up with Democratic leadership and their inability to stand up to Donald Trump and to only offer solutions that are meaningless, like strongly worded letters or canned statements. People want fighters. The American people want fighters. And we're talking, and while the people of this country can't afford gas, they can't afford to pay their mortgages, they can't afford their car payments, which has been in the news, by the way. I don't know if people remember this. For about a year now, people are defaulting on their car loans. That's been going on for a while. Things have gotten nothing but worse since Donald Trump became president again. Like I said at the top of the show, we have measles back. Public health is in shambles. People can't afford to put groceries on the table. And when you go to the grocery store, you don't even know what food is safe to eat. Is the lettuce going to give me diarrhea? I don't know. Like, my God, people. So when I see the president of the United States sitting in the Oval Office, taking time out of his busy schedule of executive time to rename a lake because he's got a stick up his ass about Canada, I'm going to have something to say about it. And again, yes, I say this as an American. I say this as someone who is beyond fed up. One may say I'm depressed about the state of this country and the world, but there's a lot of things going on. And, like, really? We're gonna take time to rename a lake? Like, what? And I have some stuff that I wanna walk through, stuff that he's been posting over the last couple days and, contrast that with actually the things that are going on in the country. Before I do that, I'm just gonna welcome my lovely sister-in-law, Jaclyn Urso. Hello, my dear. How's it going?
I'm great, thank you. Hello, everyone. I
Hi.
appreciate the invite. It's great to see everyone.
Yeah, so good to see you. It's I am with your family, funny enough. I don't know if you were here earlier, your dad came in and he was like, "Oops." And I was like, I told him I was going upstairs, but I guess I should have been like, "Don't come in the thing." Anyways, he had his 5 seconds of fame on the Mayday Network. But Jaclyn, we're talking about Donald Trump taking time out of his busy schedule today to rename a lake, the Great Lake of Lake Ontario, the lake that I grew up on, going to my entire childhood. It's the place I go also when I go home to visit my family. I have some pictures here, actually. I just wanted to show a little bit. Like, this is Little Michelle. That is Lake Ontario. That I'm what, like 2 years old? It's
Cute.
yeah, that's me and my dad, or my dad and me rather. If English and grammar are important to you. There's my dad and me, and again, like, this is where I spent my childhood. And like, there's my husband. First place we go when I go home. Beautiful Sackett's Harbor, New York, by the way, which is home to Tom Homan, the that monster. But yeah, I mean, like, it is a beautiful, beautiful place. It is near and dear to me. It is a place that millions of Americans and Canadians spend their lives around. Um, and Donald Trump felt that it was a priority, right? A priority to do this. So I'm going to walk us through just a few things. Um, because in addition to all the other bullshit that's going on, we also have the USS Lincoln, as you know. We have members of the military jumping off boats, like because they're having mental health crisis on these forever deployments with no food, no water, no ability to brush their teeth or take a shower or see their families for God knows. Everyone's calling me now. Your brother's calling me. But I'm just like, do not disturb. So let me pull this up here, Jaclyn. And by the way, how's school?
It's
School's good.
good. This first week has been fantastic. I'm learning about presidential authorities and
Wow.
intelligence law and cybersecurity. Like, it's amazing. And I'm so challenged. And I've got a cohort that's super talented and smart. And I feel like this is the natural next step in my career. And I'm super excited about the opportunity to be able to learn from Georgetown professors. They are the excellence of the national security establishment, and to be able to be part of such a family of excellence is just an
Mm,
amazing opportunity. So I'm very thankful I've been given this chance. So happy to be
fantastic.
here in DC as well.
Well, I mean, then there's always that. Even in the worst of times, DC is still a great city and a great place to be, even when you're surrounded by MAGA vision. But and Georgetown is obviously is this incredible school with you're going to get top-notch education in this program, and we hope that you will share that knowledge and education with us. Um, as it's obviously very important as it pertains to literally every day uh, discussion. So, there's Joe again. So, all right. So Donald Trump, this was on the 24th, this 3 days ago, writes on Truth Social. Canada has been ripping off the United States of America for years. The ridiculously high tariffs on our farmers and farm products. I'm just assuming Natalie wrote this, has made life impossible for these great American patriots and has long created a $60 billion deficit between our two countries. Not sustainable. Not anymore. On January 1st, 2027, January 1st spelled out, not the number first, like FIRST, first, 2027, tariffs on all cars, trucks, both large and small, automotive parts, and steel will be increased to 50%. Built in the US, and there are zero tariffs. Canada will be treated like a state no longer on trade and in other ways also. They are English. They're among the worst nations in the world to deal with. They feel entitled, and yet we don't need Canada, all caps. They need us. They do 95% of their business with the US, with us, the exact opposite. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Now, like, we remember a ways back, right? I mean, they were like, well, the United States is no longer a reliable ally, partner in trade. And they went to China and they were like, will you work with us? Because we can no longer afford to be at the whims of a demented orange 80-year-old
Yeah,
who just decides, oh, today I'm going to, screw your entire economy. And I mean, I don't really blame them, right?
right. I mean, this is what we're worried about right now, about our best friends to the north that we share so much in common with culturally, economically, infrastructure wise,
Yeah.
energy wise.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already shut down the Straits of Hormuz, and
Right.
now we get a lot of our electricity and power from
Yeah.
Canada. We get a lot
Yeah.
of oil from Canada.
Yeah.
Like, we're shooting ourselves in the foot here. And we've got no
100%.
friends. We've got no friends in the world now because we've just gone rogue in
Mhm.
so many different ways, and we are not predictable. And for the world to now consider China the predictable partner in this is just flabbergasting to me. We've
Wild.
turned the entire world order that the United States has been the center, the cohesive
Mhm.
keystone
Yeah.
in economics and military, you know, military support and structure of the world, and everything has been centered on the United States as the keystone. We've been able to drive the world since World War II. to assist us in every way.
Yep.
I mean, you go to Europe, you go anywhere in the world, they speak English as a second language.
Yeah.
Why are all the signs in English?
Yeah.
Anyone? I mean, we've benefited so much. We have so many different people that are talented coming into this nation for schooling, for to be doctors, to be lawyers, to be research scientists. Now they're not coming in anymore.
No.
We've
No.
lost this like whole brain dump of like intellectual curiosity and fixing the world's problems because we don't welcome them anymore, because we're
Right.
not giving money to institutions for them to conduct studies on cancer research anymore. We'd
Right.
rather bail out Argentina and screw our own farmers and then import thousands of pounds of beef that are poisonous.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing right now? And to get back to the subject of Canada, I mean, now Florida is saying that their tourism is down. Well, why do you think? All the
Duh.
Canadians don't want to go to Florida anymore. Nobody wants to go to Florida
Why
anymore.
would you? When you're literally, I mean, you can be a tourist in this country and be hunted by our Gestapo and put into a camp, never to be heard from again without, due process or access to a lawyer or anything. I mean, like you're risking your life coming to the United States. And I read today that the State Department made an announcement that they're pausing all visa applications, all of them, just because they gotta we want to make sure everybody knows what's going on. What? What?
In
It's
an age
bullshit.
in an age where our population is dwindling because it's too unaffordable to have children, the next best thing we can do is welcome these immigrants to fill in these jobs that we don't have people filling in anymore. I mean, who wants to do the farming out in 100-degree heat in California?
Yeah.
Like, who's doing that? Who's taking out your trash?
Right.
Like a young, uneducated Midwestern young man is not going to want to move trash.
Mm-mm.
But then you've also got the intellectuals that are coming in that want to study and do things like cancer research.
Right.
And
Which a lot of that cancer research the funding has been cut. Julie talks about the Alzheimer's research and the doctor that she spoke to who was part of this, research coalition or group. And because the Trump administration refuses to fund any research by anyone who's not American, there was like an American doctor and a Canadian doctor. And so they were like, and this was groundbreaking. They were on the verge of moving the needle on Alzheimer's, and they put the kibosh on it.
And who suffers? The American people suffer.
Yeah.
And the world suffers because of it.
Yep.
Why? Because he's so preoccupied with his own glamour that he wants to just put Gulf of America, the Lake America, like put Trump
So
on all the
stupid.
buildings. It's like, this is what we're worried about now.
Right.
We're worried about some crazy man who's got dementia and heart failure and all the other things trying to live out his last days, implementing his name on everything so people remember him, rather than fixing the world's problems and being the leader at the cusp of forming a world coalition to tackle the world's hardest problems.
Right. Exactly.
We have to fight with our neighbor Canada that we have so much in common with.
Right.
And who suffers? The American people suffer.
Yeah.
The American workers suffer. I mean, people in Detroit, how many of them go across the bridge?
Yep.
The lobster farmers up in
Maine.
In Maine.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much interaction between our economies.
Oh yeah.
That the American people are suffering because of this.
Right. The 21st congressional district, which is redrawn a little. So I guess the 22 with Claudia Tenney, right? She's probably gonna win her race again. But like Elise Stefanik's seat is up for grabs, and there are two men that are in running for that seat. It's Blake Gendebine, the Democrat, who is a farmer, pretty nice, cool, smart guy, and this absolute wackadoo, Anthony Constantino, who owns a sticker factory and is like so far up Trump's ass, he can see his colon. And so, again, who's a wackadoo? He's a completely crazy person. And I look at the 21st congressional district as a place that is sort of touched by all of the issues that a trade war with Canada is going to cause. Problems with agriculture, and farming, the workers, immigration for workers to come here, tourism from that whole entire area, like through the Adirondacks. I mean, like there's so many different issues. I mean, I think I read somewhere that like tourism in the area was down like 20 something percent. And these areas that depend on tourism from Canada
Yeah.
from a very, few months out of the year. Like these entire economies depend on this. And it's destroying all of it. Any goodwill that we had with the Canadians, I think is down the drain. And I know I say again to our Canadian friends who watch the show, watch this network, like how sorry I am. We are, I know it doesn't probably mean anything, but it's like we are horrified by this. And this is why I proudly wear my Canada shirt and sweatshirt. I have 3 of them. I wear them all the time because I'm just, having grown up on the border as well, like I just have a deep love of Canada and for the Canadian people. They're just like the nicest, most wonderful people, and one of America's longest, strongest allies. And may I remind people that it was the Canadians storming the beaches at Normandy right along with us. Their people died too. Canadians went and fought overseas after, you know, it's mind blowing how quickly we forget.
Yeah. And I deployed to Afghanistan back in 2007.
Yeah,
And guess who was right by our side? The
Right.
Canadians.
right. Exactly.
They were out there hooking and jabbing
Yeah, they died.
things
They
just
died for us.
right next to us.
Mhm.
Some of them were, actually embedded with a global task force. And
Yeah,
it wasn't just the Americans; it was the Americans, the Canadians. I mean, ISAF, right? ISAF was a NATO
right,
alliance, so we had all of our NATO allies. And this Article 5 has only been declared once in NATO's history,
right,
and it was in response to September 11th.
right. As we come up on the 25th anniversary of that, again, like how quickly we forget. And I'm just gonna go through the rest of this. So this is what Donald Trump wrote the day after that other post. Of course, a picture, because again, always indicating, telling us what's coming. And everyone should always take him seriously at his word. Um, and meanwhile, like here's some nuts and bolts here. This is from CNN. This is August 25th. Canada announces tariffs because they're hitting us back, as they should. Canada announces tariffs up to 50% on more than 700 US goods, with the biggest import taxes on steel and aluminum. This is going to kill people. This is going to kill the American worker. And it's and this will we deserve it. We deserve it. Wall Street Journal opinion: Trump to Ford Motor, drop dead. A 50% tariff on autos and parts from Canada would punish U.S. companies. As I said again at the top of the show, this is like they don't understand. I don't know if he just doesn't understand or he just doesn't care to understand how the automotive industry works. Like those parts cross the border back and forth several times. Like this is just how it works. And again, like Canada being our trade partners and allies, like that hasn't been a problem ever. Meanwhile, these are the things that are going on. And you and I talk about this a lot, Jaclyn. This is the Economic Times. Is Russia hinting at World War III? UK asks its people to stock food and water as Putin warns of strikes on Britain. CIA chief Ratcliffe secretly flies to Moscow amid Kremlin threats. As you know, it is being reported that Russia is planning to use tactical nuclear weapons on Ukraine. JP Morgan warns a global food crisis could hit next year. And unlike oil, there is no backup plan for fertilizer. It says here, when it comes to food security, things may get worse before they get better. That is a fitting attitude for Americans staring down the possibility, even higher grocery bills. A new report from JP Morgan, food security is national security. A compounding storm warns that global food costs could climb 5% in the first half of 2027. That is up from the current U.S. food inflation rate of 3%, a number that's already putting pressure on household budgets. Here is just a glimpse of headlines from the last 3 days. Nuclear war still a possibility. Everything except nukes as the world watches wildberries. Russia unleashes war on Ukraine's economy. Russia planning to use nukes. Why CIA chief made emergency visit to Moscow. Berlin may fund UK. UK nukes as Europe seeks to boost deterrence again. And then here we go again. There is more evidence that has been uncovered about the Epstein files. Missing Epstein files containing major allegations Trump discovered. Supposed FBI files that have previously been referred to as missing were recently discovered sitting on an online document sharing platform. Files that former MSNBC host Katie Fang, shout out to Katie, said Saturday that contain allegations of sexual abuse committed by Donald Trump against a 13 to 15-year-old victim. 13 years old. This is going on. It says here that the DOJ has justified withholding some of those files, describing them as duplicative of material already turned over. Don't look here. A characterization that has since come under scrutiny. A growing number of critics increasingly pointed to a trove of 37 pages of the FBI handwritten notes taken during a 2019 interview with Jane Doe 4, a South Carolina woman who accused Trump and Epstein of sexual and physical abuse beginning when she was 13 years old. And then, last one, and I'll stop talking. In The Guardian, Greenland issues strong warning as Trump-linked oil firm prepares to drill. He's been talking about annexing Greenland. He has one of his chumps in as ambassador to Denmark, Ken Howery, who was part of the PayPal mafia, besties with Elon Musk. He got, rightfully laughed at and threatened, don't you dare. So what is he going to do? He's taking the back door. He's going to use the private sector to make his way in. The island's government says no approval given after Greenland Energy brings kit ashore for exploratory drilling. An American oil company connected to Donald Trump is preparing to sink wells in remote Greenland despite not having received permission from local authorities. As the U.S. president renews his threats to claim the vast Arctic territory, materials to prepare for drilling were brought ashore in recent days on Greenland's eastern coast. That was prompted Greenland's government to issue a strong warning that no approval had been granted to land the kit. Quote, all future logistical matters must be advised and approved by the Mineral Resources Authority before they are carried out. 2 days later, Trump made his latest menacing post on Truth Social, showing himself looming over Greenlandic village. I mean, it's a Texas company tied to Donald Trump that is making its way in.
Him and his cronies are just making money hand over fist. And
Yeah.
for the American normal everyday person to still think that he's fighting for you, you've lost your mind. He does not care about you.
Mm-hmm.
He's told you that. How many times? He does not care about you.
No. And he said it to a gaggle of reporters. He's like, when it comes to like the economy or whatever it was for American people, he was basically like, I don't care. He said it.
He literally said, I don't care if the prices have
He's
increased.
Yeah.
They can suffer.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, Daddy Trump, though. Oh, Daddy Trump.
And all of his cabinet and all the GOP know that he's stupid and he's crazy.
Yeah.
But they stroke his ego and do things like having this big kumbaya cabinet meeting, just throwing out things left and right about how great he is. Yeah. Why? Because behind the scenes, they're doing anything and everything they ever wanted to do.
Exactly.
With no checks and no balances.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole GOP congressional caucus has abdicated their legislative responsibilities and handed it over to an imperialistic executive that does not care one bit about the rule of law.
Amen.
Why? Because Mitch McConnell wanted to get his conservative judges.
And he
That's
did.
why.
And he did. And he did. And it's, all of this is in Project 2025 as well. And it's so crazy, Jaclyn, to think back to 2024 when they published Project 2025 in a book for all of us to read. And Rosie O'Donnell, God bless, love Rosie O'Donnell. She talked about this recently about like why she moved to Ireland. I mean, obviously she's a target of Donald Trump, but she's like, while the rest of the country was like not paying attention and didn't want to read it, I read it cover to cover. So I know what's coming. I knew what was coming. And for that reason, I moved to Ireland because I don't want to be here for this.
He gave it to us. He gave us their
I know.
playbook. And
Yeah.
we just ignored it and said, no. And he goes, no, I have nothing to do with Project 2025.
Right. And then the media moved on. They just moved on.
And who wrote the preface of it? Like some guy in his administration.
Yeah. It's was it Russ Vogt, the Office of Management and Budget.
I think so.
Yeah. And JD Vance. I mean, like,
There's so many of them that authored different sections of it are now working
Kevin Roberts,
in his administration.
Yeah, Kevin Roberts, who was the head of the Heritage Foundation, who literally said, "This will be the second American Revolution, which shall remain bloodless if the American people allow it to be."
Right.
I mean, and yet here we are with Donald Trump having a gaggle of reporters, the White House correspondents, the ones that he allows near him to come into the Oval Office and cover this cockamamie bullshit press conference renaming a lake.
A lake. We have so many important things going on in this world and so many things threatening our nation from within and without. Mm-hmm. And we need an executive that is following the rule of law and supporting and defending the Constitution and executing the laws faithfully in support of the Americans that he's supposed to be representing. And the president of the United States is naming Lake Ontario Lake America, when we are on the cusp of World War III. So some people say, and I think we already are in a World War III.
You've been saying that for years.
I mean, since the Georgian attack back in 2008.
Yeah.
Because we were too busy in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I remember being in Iraq and knowing that Georgia just, was just infiltrated by the Russians. And I remember sitting around in the COC with the XO and the OPSO and the S4, the logistics guy. And I'm going, well, what are we going to do about it? Like, are we going to do anything about it? And he's like, no, nobody cares. Nobody cares about Russia right now. We're in Iraq and Afghanistan. We're getting after it.
Right.
We've just laid the precedent to allow Russia to just violate international law.
Yeah.
And didn't do anything about it. And they gave us the playbook. And then they replayed that playbook in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And they're doing it again in NATO territories. We just had how many bombs already fly into Poland? And Poland is too scared right now to declare Article 4, which is the consultation piece, because they don't want to press their luck and claim in Article 4, ask everybody to get together on what are we going to do about this. And then the United States says that they're not going to join, because that inevitably is the end of NATO at that point.
The end of NATO, right? Which is kind of like, and they know that that's coming.
Right.
So they, for all the reasons they don't want to invoke Article 4 or 5, and it's Kaliningrad, right? It's like this piece of land, right? That there's been a swarm of NATO activity going on around there for the last week or so. If you're on Twitter and you follow any of these sort of like military accounts who are watching air traffic and watching military aircraft, swarm the area, you've been seeing, and everyone's like, what the is going on? Because no one is saying anything and no one is talking. And to your point, Jaclyn, Poland is just like, no, they mistakenly, the Russians just mistakenly. I was like, the Russians aren't mistakenly doing shit.
You're giving them the benefit of the doubt because you don't want to press your luck on the NATO alliance.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we've just allowed Saudi Arabia to get nuclear weapons.
It's like, what?
And we're becoming friends with Kim Jong-un and pulling out
Mhm.
troops on the Korean Peninsula and moving that aircraft carrier and our weapon systems from the Pacific in
Mhm.
that was supposed to be a deterrent for North Korea and China, and we're putting them into the CENTCOM area. I mean,
Yeah.
I was on the Korean Peninsula. I
Right,
I
right.
I felt palpably that stress, that war and nuclear war was
Mhm.
right at the doorstep. And
Yep.
to be able to do the operational exercises with our Korean counterparts, they were fully engaged, well informed, and ready for it. And it was just an amazing experience to have our COC and their COC on Pohang and it being connected by a tarp, and there'll be MPs on each side. And I was able to walk into their COC. And do you know how proud they were to
Oh, I
have
bet.
the
Yes.
Americans working with them hand in glove? And we did it multiple times. There's a
Mhm.
UFG, which is one that's going on usually right now, that we take part in. And then there's ones in the spring. I actually flew over there and spent almost 2 months in Korea in support of operational exercises.
Wow.
And then we decided to get on a bus and drive up to the DMZ to really see what we were fighting for. Why are we here?
Mm.
So that everybody can understand and put it together for the perspective. You just spent 2 months, in a tent in 37-degree weather with rain and frost and snow doing this operational exercise. Come on, let's go. Let's go to the DMZ so you can actually see why.
Right.
And now we're pulling troops out. We're not putting money in to support that alliance. We're just allowing Russia and China and North Korea and Iran to form an alliance. I mean, how much weapons and people from North Korea are already in Ukraine fighting on Russians' behalf? And we're worried about Lake Ontario becoming Lake America?
Right, right,
Like,
right. The outrage of the day.
the world is raging right now.
Yeah.
And he's so lame that
Weak.
weak that he doesn't want to step up to the plate and take on the leadership role that the United States has had since post World War II,
Yeah.
and because he wants to get rich.
To John Ossoff's point, he doesn't want to do the job. He never did. He wants to ride in his palace in the sky with Natalie, you know, and that's all he wants, and build a ballroom. He would have made a great first lady, like just doing a bunch of like, nonsensical things that, like decorating. Like that's the shit that he wants to do. He wants to put gold stuff on the walls. And you know, again, like the lake thing, right? In the grand scheme of things is like stupid, and it doesn't matter. It's because there'll hopefully at some point be another president that will undo all of this shit. I hope. Um, but there's a cumulative effect to all of this nonsense, right? I mean, it adds up to, you know, just another symptom of this cancer that will not leave us.
Right.
And, my former boss wrote a book called Everything Trump Touches Dies. And it's true. Look what he's doing, not just to us anymore,
He's
but to
he's
the world.
he's been declaring bankruptcy how many times, and Daddy had to come and
Right.
save him and
So
give
why
money
wouldn't
to
he
his
do it to
friends for his
us?
friends to put money into his casinos.
Right. So
And
why wouldn't he do this again? Like to us? He doesn't care.
he's getting rich hand over fist while the price of energy and food is rising to the point where a minimum wage or even a medium sized wage is not supportive of a family of four. I
Yep.
mean, and I've got the single tax, right? So
Mm.
everything that I have to pay is all by myself. So you
Right.
imagine all the people that have children and are trying to raise their children, but yet they can't put food on the table, or they've got to choose between putting food on the table and bringing their children to the doctors.
Right. Right.
They can't afford both.
No. And the
And the
cost of healthcare.
CDC has stripped how many scientists and organizations that were supposed to help and prevent things like measles
Right.
And now we got to worry about measles and polio and things that have already been eradicated for almost 100 years because
Right.
science.
Right. Because we're back on the Oregon Trail, apparently. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's there is like it's like this combination, this very sick and scary combination of incompetence and cruelty and evilness. And because it's like the dumbest people possible are carrying out the worst possible scenario.
I mean, the
And
Secretary of Health says that he had a worm or something in his brain. And like he's so screwed up on his communication because he snorted how much cocaine
and heroin.
and
Yeah.
heroin, and this is who's in charge of the department that's supposed to be saving us from diseases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And has fired everybody at the CDC, at the FDA. It's like, you know, and it's, you know, China is taking our place in the soft power, you know, role around the world as USAID and all these other, you know, means of aid that we would provide countries and people around the world. I mean, there's estimated over 1 million people are now dead
That's
because
another
of
thing.
that.
Yeah, all of our soft power is gone. So
Right.
the ways where we will be able to influence the world and make it, shape it in a way that benefits the United States by our soft power, by USAID and our economy and being the predictable player in this and being the leader. Everything was surrounding the United States and our abilities to improve domestically, internationally, education-wise, financially. Everything was surrounded the American prosperity since
Yeah.
World War II because we were willing to take on the risk of being that leader.
Yep.
And now, you know, I would have to say that food hunger and people dying in Africa because of USAID is a conflict that is going to impact the United States.
Yes.
So that's a national security issue.
Yes.
Climate change is a national security issue.
I was going to say, yeah, I was like the climate migration that is going to happen in the next 10, 15, 20 years. People are not prepared for.
Yeah. So we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. Instead of being preemptive and trying to help solve these problems, we are withdrawing. The problems are escalating. And within a few years, they're going to be affecting the United States one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So our soft power has completely been eroded. And the United States is being a focal point of a leader within the world is disintegrated to the point where nobody wants to do business with us anymore.
Well,
they'd rather be with China.
Yeah, and we were talking about people not coming here. I was thinking too, it's like the enrollment for all these major universities are way down, including my own. I don't know about Tulane or anything, but I'm sure that they're experiencing it too. I just know Syracuse was very upfront and public about the fact that they're in the red and for the first time in however long. And it's because the enrollment for freshmen, sophomore, juniors are way down. Because again, who in the hell would want to come here? And so meanwhile, to fill that gap, right, you have foreign influence now in American universities. We have Qatar giving money in addition to all these independent media companies like Mehdi Hassan Zateo and things we have Qatar giving money to places like Northwestern. There's a lawsuit now against the university, is a foreign influence controlling your messaging about certain world conflicts. I mean, it's bananas. I mean, you couldn't have, it's almost like somebody plucked a little baby out of Queens, New York in 1946 and said, this young baby will be the one. He's the one. He's the chosen one, as he rightly and I think says that he is the chosen one to bring down the American empire.
I think his mother had warned, like, don't make him president, to let him be president.
Right.
His own mother.
Right. And meanwhile, again, I'll just throw this PDF up here. He's also threatening because again, he's not getting his way, like a little baby, to put his name on the Kennedy Center. Then he's like, well, if I can't have it, and this is just how he is about everything. If I can't have it, then nobody can have it. It's the same way I think he looks at the Republican Party, at the presidency, at any of it, right? He doesn't he wants to be the last Republican president.
Yes.
I think he wants to be the last president,
Yes.
period.
Yes.
Because there can't be anyone after him, because that would mean that something could exist after him, and he can't handle it. So he's been threatening to demolish it. Um, the White House then, this is just today at 1:30, put out this stupid tweet, like America, and the Department of Labor put this stupid ass thing out too, the America, and you know, I wanted to know what you think about this. The New Yorker wrote an article. Thought this was pretty interesting. What if Canada joined the EU? Now, this is a hypothetical, right? Carney has proven himself over and over and over again to be the leader of the free world, in my opinion. It's my opinion. But the Trump administration, trade war with Canada has, this is very blurry and I don't have my glasses, has peaked a fringe idea in the mainstream conservatism on both sides of the Atlantic.
I think they're already hedging their bets, and they're already part of NATO,
Yeah,
right?
right,
So
right,
the majority of NATO, but for the United States and Canada, is our European allies.
right.
So they already have the military ties and connections
Mm-hmm.
through the NATO alliance, and they speak English and French,
Mm-hmm.
and their economies, our economies, just internationally are already woven within each other, and the fact that we're putting tariffs on them, they're going out and reaching out to other countries, trying to make sure that they can get the goods and services that they need because they can no longer depend on the United States.
Right. Right.
So I think
And
it's inevitable that they're going to at least grow even closer
I think so too.
on the financial aspect of
I
things.
think so too. And meanwhile, the Republican Party is tweeting out greetings from Lake America. The Florida Republican Party. I'm like, first of all, you don't even go here. Like, Lake Ontario is like 1,000 something miles away. Like, what are you? Shut up! Like, shut up. Um, and also, I mean, here's another thing that just, these people are dumb. Lake Ontario was the given name of the Iroquois nation many hundreds of years ago. This is the Lake Ontario like fan account or something, but it happens to be true. 1660, my name, the lake, was printed on maps by the Europeans as they accepted the native name, which means beautiful waters. Like it comes from the indigenous nations, the Iroquois nation from the area. That's in their language, beautiful waters is Ontario. I'm sure it's like a slightly different pronunciation, but you get the point. In 1867, the Canadian government decided to use my name for their province. Therefore, my name is much older than the Canadian province called Ontario. So all this childish behavior is literally petty BS. I will always be Lake Ontario. And I was like, yes. And just some information, just guys, if you happen to care or like even want to know, Lake Ontario is 193 miles long, 53 miles wide, 283 feet deep on average. There's 712 miles of shoreline. All the other Great Lakes drain into Lake Ontario, with the Niagara River connecting Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. The St. Lawrence River, another body of water I grew up near, drains into the Atlantic Ocean. There are 2.8 million people in the United States and about 2.8 million more in Canada who live in the Lake Ontario watershed. This has been some of the response from the bigger accounts. This is JB Pritzker. Effective immediately, Trump Tower is renamed Natalie Tower. It's like almost like it's a funny joke, but I'm like, it's almost there. But like, I get Natalie, like I get it. Hillary Clinton, just plain as day, my queen. It's Lake Ontario. God bless. Charlotte Clymer, who we all love, said, fellow Americans, I know you're struggling to pay your bills and keep up with rising food and gas prices, and you've given up on owning a home and constantly wonder if AI is going to replace your job. But you'll be pleased to know that Trump has renamed Lake Ontario to Lake America. Um,
With the cost of food rising and
yeah,
gas rising and the energy crisis and
yeah.
hurricanes coming in and
Oh yeah,
tornadoes and
Hurricane
mudslides
Dolly.
and forest fires. Like, what do you think all of this is because?
And no FEMA.
Like, no FEMA,
The
no
poor people of
emergency
Gary,
management.
Indiana. Yeah, the poor
Oh,
people of
and
Gary, Indiana are suffering right now in the dark with no power, no water, no nothing.
I'm not going to give, and Trump's not going to give any aid to states that
Didn't
didn't
vote
vote
for
for
him.
him.
Mhm.
Are we
Listen,
serious? This is
the
what we're worried
only
about?
the only hope that I have, and listen, I don't know if the alternative is going to be worse or better. Time will tell. Is that this man has so many like knocking on death's door ailments and a stubbornness to not do shit about any of them. It's very clear that he's put on an exorbitant amount of weight recently. He's ballooning up, full of fluid. He's bruised all over the place. I don't know what the hell's going on with his hair. Have you noticed there's like something like new? He's doing like a new color or something. His ass is bigger than ever. I mean, it's just like people are just, people are saying his ass is bigger than ever. But like he is staring down the barrel of the end of his life. I mean, literally, guys, it could be
Any day.
any day. He could keel over and die in the seat while he's giving an interview or something. Like, he is unwell. He has kidney disease, congestive heart failure, heart disease, dementia. I mean, there's a myriad of serious health issues that this man has, and he's 80 years old. In the same week that we have lost 80-year-old patron saint Dolly Parton and Tim Curry, I'm like, the Grim Reaper has
Yeah.
can we try door number 3 here, because we're missing like, it wasn't, we said Donnie, not Dolly. Okay.
Right,
Like, you know
right.
what I mean? Like, that's not what we said. And I said patron saint. It's when our next door neighbor in our building passed away a few years ago. He had his memorial service at St. John the Divine, and I remember it was like one of those things in the back, those little chapel things. And the dean, I don't know what it's like, a dean, Episcopalian. I don't know what it's like, pastor, priest. I don't know what it's called. Anyways, started the service by saying, in the words of our patron saint, Dolly Parton, I will always love you. And I was like, I am in the right place. And then I found
Right.
out he was like a gay man. He lived on like, I was like, Episcopalians, like, we love. But anyways, I say all that to say is like, Donald Trump is not going to live forever. There will be the next iteration, whatever that is. Whether that's tomorrow, whether that's a year from now, 2 years from now, we don't know. I mean, he is a bit of a cockroach, but like, there are health experts now that are going on TV and openly talking about this, which is kind of like a new thing, right? We would only really hear that on podcasts or corners
Right.
of the internet and stuff, but people are really going mainstream with this calculation about his health. And, with his dementia and the fact that he doesn't know where his nose is, like, he's renaming lakes. He's pumped up full of drugs and devices, I'm sure, attached to his body just to help him, sit in that. You don't see him getting up and walking anywhere. He sits in that chair. He not move.
Most of the time he's falling asleep because
Yeah.
he's
Sitting there like
still
shitting his pants. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you see the on C-SPAN, and I like, you can hear it sometimes. You can hear the like, and people behind him make a face. I'm like, it's very obvious what's going on here. So at least there's that. Jaclyn.
and he is going to die, sooner or later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since the 80s, right? They've been changing the tax, since the late 70s, since Nixon, they've been changing the tax code, and
Mhm.
the divide between the haves and the have-nots has exponentially increased,
Yep.
right? Where the top 1% own like 90% of the United States' economy. And,
Mhm.
the tax code, it benefits those that are wealthy.
Yeah.
And so when he passes, all of his debt is going to be erased. His family is making money hand over fist, right? They're going to be inheriting everything from the Trump enterprise without taxes.
Mhm.
And meanwhile, the American people are struggling to put food on the table,
Mhm.
pay their gas bills, right? Go to the doctors and just work.
Yeah. Most people just want to like be able to live and go to the doctor, go to work, have a family, and then just quietly pass away. Like,
Yeah.
that's all people really want. You know what I mean? Like, let me live my life. Let me live it, in a way that is manageable and tolerable. And God forbid I be happy. Um, and into my old age, like, is that too much to ask? And apparently in this country, it is.
Is
And because I mean, as we all know, like unions and pensions and things like that are those jobs are hard to come by. And I saw someone in the chat, Kevin Cox, our friend in the UK, said the next iteration is Tucker, which I talk about this all the time. Tucker, yes, he is the next iteration because if you watch the far right and the far left podcasts, independent media spaces, they are on each other's shows now. You've got Candace Owens on the Young Turks, and you've got the Young Turks over at Candace Owens, and you have Tucker Carlson talking to Anna. Like they're prepping us and they're preparing us for um, a horseshoe presidency that is aligned on Israel and forever wars and economic populism, and there'll be an anti-MAGA, anti-Trump element to all of that, and primed with Russian propaganda. Um, it's like people need to be ready for this.
we need a strong Democratic Party that opens up the umbrella and has many participants, because it's going to be the only way that we're going to be able to save this country from the downturn into an autocracy. And
Hmm.
if we cannot, we have to stop fighting amongst ourselves and open up that tent and welcome,
Hmm.
and not shun anyone. And I
Hmm.
heard, Julie's podcast yesterday about,
Hmm.
the
With
Jewish.
Joel Rubin, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the Jewish voters in the Democratic Party are like very rightfully freaked out. Not to go down that rabbit hole, but
Right.
it's like like the fighting within ourselves, like that request and that argument goes both ways.
Right.
It's not just us with the problem. You know what I mean? Like it's you know we have to save the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party is our only hope
Right.
out of this. Like we can dream and think up of other ways of pie in the sky possibilities, but it's not reality.
Right.
It's not reality. Sorry, I'm.
So we've got to come together. We've got to put aside our differences. We've got to unite under a common theme. We need our leadership within the Democratic Party to state that common theme. And we need to move forward together, all rowing in the same direction, in order to save the United States from the downfall of democracy and entering into a kleptocracy.
Mhm.
It's the only way we're going to do it. So let's figure out how we can get together and find some common ground so that we can beat these guys. I mean, it's got to be power in the people, and our vote is the way that we've got to do it. And
Yeah.
we've got to find some common ground and foundations that we all respect in moving forward to fight these guys,
Yep.
to
And
fight the GOP, and to fight Trump
yes,
and the
yes, to fight the bad guys. I mean,
fight
we're
the bad guys.
and we need better, stronger, more energetic leadership that is ready to do the unpopular things in terms of fighting back. Who aren't afraid of their own shadows, who are willing to speak plainly and truthfully and authentically to the moment that we are in. And,
Our generations, right? I'm kind of in this Zennial generation,
hmm,
half and half,
me
born
too.
in '79.
Yeah.
the Generation X and the millennials and the zennials, like, we're ready. Like, let's do it. Let's unite. Let's show them what we can do together as these younger generations are coming forward to be the next leaders of our country. There's plenty of talented people out there that love our country.
Yep.
So let's figure out a way that we can get together and we could do this the right way. And not to disrespect those, that are older in the older generations. They've done a great job, but
yes,
now it's time to pass the mantle over to the younger generation and let us pick it up and start running with it.
Yep.
Right? We respect everything that the older generations have done for us. And I know that I'm the product of a liberal agenda, but for the older generation fighting for things like my ability to have a degree, have a law degree, have a license.
Yeah. Title IX.
Have a mortgage, Title IX, join the Marine Corps, become an officer, all these things. And now it's give us the chance in our generation to carry that mantle forward and continue to fight for those minorities and those distressed. Because they are the ones that need the most help. And it's time for us to step up. And I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. This is why I went to Georgetown, right? To learn as much as I can about national security law so that I can somehow serve my country again. And so I think that there's a generations of us younger folk that are ready to step up, and we need to figure out how we can all unite. And I'm looking at people like John Ossoff now.
Hell yeah.
To show the example.
He's my dude right now. Not the only, but definitely up there. Calm, cool, collected, saying the things, doing the things, and showing up. And by the way, if you live in Georgia, you probably know this, that he's probably one of the most accessible politicians and representatives in the state. I mean, you call his office, they call you back. Like, he answers his constituents. He's a good senator, and people really like him. It's not all for show. Like, he does the work, and he's very good at his job. And I think, for that reason, he will be easily, I hope, reelected, and onward.
He's a great example, and I think he's a shining light and somebody that we can look up to and say, okay, we've got an example. Let's do this on the grassroots level, and let's work together. Because that's the only way that we're gonna put this country back on the right path. And I'm not saying it's not going to be hard. It's going to be very hard, and it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a generational effort for us to put this back on the right track. But the bones are there. The bones are good. It's only as good as the people that are willing to serve.
Amen.
So I'm ready for it, and I appreciate giving the opportunity to sit here and chat with you.
Yeah, Jaclyn, this was such a lovely surprise. When I texted Jaclyn, I can't talk. When I texted Julie, she's out and about, handling some family stuff, and I was like, let me just go on and let me just rant into the wind. And then I saw Jaclyn's name in the chat. And so what a lovely serendipitous occasion for all of us to come together. And this summer, just so people, if you're watching, this summer has been a little crazy for me personally on a personal level, and also for Julie. And so we haven't really been around as much as we have hoped to have been, but things are quieting down a little bit in that respect. So while things are, ramping up in the country as we move toward the midterms. So we hope to be around a lot more. We're going to, be going live more often, posting more content here on YouTube as well as Substack. Those are our two main platforms. And Instagram, I would say we're probably the most active in terms of social media, because that's all I got time for, guys. But Jaclyn, we are so grateful that you're here, and we're so glad to see you in your new digs. In the great Washington, D.C. Folks, take care of yourselves. Please, stay informed to the extent that you can without losing your mind. And for everything else, we're here for you. And tune in tomorrow at, what time do we do the show? 11? 11 with Jeff, Julie, and myself. We did have to do a little pre-record. So if there's any breaking news between now and then, we are sorry, but we had to record today because people got stuff to do. So Jaclyn, thank you again. We love you. We hope that you'll come back again soon, and we can talk about more of the stuff going on in the country and around the world. To everybody else, please please like this video down below. I'd be so appreciative. Find us on Apple Podcasts as well. There will be an audio and video version of us over there in addition to here. And we'll see everybody very soon. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.